again.
I'll call the board meeting of August 8th. Will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Mark DeLyden. I will be chair today. Charlie is not feeling well today. Meeting minutes of August 1st, County Board minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the minutes.
I'll second them.
A motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of agenda. Do we have anything to add to our agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make... You have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt today's agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda. Anybody have anything they would like to pull?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Any further discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Mr. Captain O'Malley. Mr. Captain?
Yeah.
Good morning,
Captain.
Mr. Chair, Board. How are you all today?
Just find yourself.
Good, thank you. Coming here today to talk about our medical contract. As you know, we opened another unit in the jail. Along with that comes a whole lot of other inmates and the need for some medical services. So speaking with our provider, and you guys, I didn't print off a copy of the contract, but the additional 20 hours of nursing service, or 24 hours, excuse me, of nursing service, 2 hours of doctor service. We typically get more than that, but and then 4 hours of mental health. Mental health has been one of the things that we're really struggling with a lot, especially since the PREA stuff, because of the way now we intake people. It's just a whole different world. But the majority of this, part of the mental health is our own inmates as well, but the majority of this is due to the increase in the population with the boarders. This cost will be completely covered by our boarding contracts. I figured it out. There's no net loss of any kind to the county. It will all be paid for. As a matter of fact, this year to date, we've exceeded our projected revenues by almost $100,000, and we're still 4 months left in the year, so 4.5, because we probably haven't received all the billings from last month yet. So there is no cost to the county on this, other than obviously we pay the bill, but we will recoup that money in our boarding. So we will with all of the additional staff and everything else. It will be completely covered, and so a net neutral effect, actually positive cash flow for the county in regards to that.
Mr. Chair. Captain, so it's through 31/2020. If there was some extenuating circumstances, then would there be
stop boarding or whatever?
Right.
Yep.
If something would happen.
I've talked with the provider about that, and we can go backwards on this as well. That's kind of actually when I was looking at all this, it works out because we've made addendums to the contract, and we just, as the population goes down, just cease the different addendums until we're back to the original contract if necessary. Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Captain O'Malley, what I want to do is publicly commend you for when you're taking on more inmates to give us the revenue and the expenditure end of it at the front end, because sometimes we get the revenue and some people forget to tell you about the expense, and you were open, clear, and forward with
Yep,
what those
we are.
expenses were gonna be, and I appreciate that, because that makes our decision up here a lot easier.
And in budget, I'll have a lot more detail too about it, but it's easy. There's no cost. It's all covered in the cost of the boarding, so.
I do have a question. We have one more unit left.
Correct.
Okay, so we're calling this one the Papa unit?
Yep.
Is the other one a Mama unit then, or?
No, it's a Quebec unit.
Quebec, oh,
We
okay.
just went right down the alphabet with all the letters.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure how.
It was the last letter, the last door that we had to name, so.
I'll make a motion to adapt the approved addendum to amend the contract for jail medical services here in Wright County.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any further discussions, or any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Captain. 9:07. Oh, 9:06. I'm ahead of schedule. Walk slow. Okay. Regarding findings and recommendations of Planning Commission, Mr. Sean Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chair, County Board, our Planning Commission heard a request to rezone a property from Ag S2 on Lake Ida in Silver Creek Township to S3 recreational shorelands. We had numerous meetings. The Planning Commission conducted a site inspection. We received a negative recommendation from the town board. So after much deliberation by our Planning Commission and discussion, they have recommended a denial of the rezoning to the county board. You've got a thorough record in front of you, all the exhibits, all the testimony, all the public input, and the meeting is also closed. The public hearing was closed at the Planning Commission, so testimony cannot be taken at this meeting. I'm open for questions or comments or...
It made for interesting reading.
Yep. Thick packet.
Real thick.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Riley?
Yeah, I mean, it was very thoroughly vetted, I believe, in all these meetings, and I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
I think the process has gone through and all of the information has been presented and been vetted as well thoroughly. I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the findings for denial for the Mojo Wojo Campground. Where's the number? Do I need to?
No.
I think that's adequate.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
On a motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter, to adopt the findings and facts. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those this is not a,
Resolution.
resolution? Nope. Yep. Hearing no other discussions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Can I get you to do technology? Okay.
Because we're already up to that, aren't we? Right.
Mr. Chair, just for purposes of the minutes and the record, I just want to reflect that staff has served Susie Wojciechowski, who is a principal owner of Wojo Mojo, with a copy of the denial here that was just adopted.
Yep. Okay.
Should we give him a minute?
Moving
Anyone else
on.
Leaving? Looks like a bunch of them are leaving.
Items for consideration. Commissioner Vetch, would you take care of the technology committee, please?
Right, The Technology Committee met on July 26th. Members present were Commissioner Dahliden, Commissioner Vetch, Adam Tagaro, Lee Kelly, Mike McMillan, Christine Bartlow, Steve Job. Others present were Sue Vergine, Olga Strobel, Sherry Nelson, Connie Mae Cooper, and Jen Rassett. First item presented was the Technology CIP requests presented by Adam Tagaro. Review of the technology-specific CIP request. The term technology does not necessarily mean that the items projects will be solely for the IT department. Many of the projects are considered enterprise in nature as they will be utilized throughout the entire county. Another aspect of the request is timeline. Some items are noted for 2018 budget but are noted for further years as they cross many year spans. The projects, some of them are, I think, 3 or 4 years in nature. Mike McMillan questioned the credit card implementation project role in CIP dollars. He noted that it was not presented as a CIP request, but that the integration costs could be substantial due to the multi-systems used by various departments. All of them have data to integrate in very different ways.
I remember.
Tagaro stated that the actual startup costs for the credit card system should be minimal, but agreed that the possible integration costs make the project worthy of a CIP inclusion.
It was the very end.
Very end.
It's right there. Nope.
Right there.
This one.
There we go.
No, that's okay. McMillan also brought to the item of the sheriff's body cams up. He stated that the recent events we may likely see mandates come to the state legislators sooner than later requiring sheriff's body cams. His concern is that it will be a non-funded mandate where the dollars currently allocated in the CIP will not be enough to cover the cost. We had a little bit of a discussion about this because is it 5 years on just outfitting the squads, I believe it was. We weren't even looking at actually doing the body cams for at least 5 years out.
Right.
Yeah, we have to get the base.
We have to get the base system in.
Because our existing system couldn't handle body cams.
So the biggest concern is that if it accelerates up and we had to do the base system and the cams all within the first 5 years here now, we don't have not nearly enough CIP funds budgeted for that if it's a mandated item without funds.
And it's quite a process with that many squad cars.
Yeah. Other discussions revolved around the CIP items. Dahliden stated that to make sure Virgin and Edmund know that the CIP requests before the meetings to officially discuss them. Myself questioned how many dollars are determined for CIP requests, inquiring if the process could deliver more accurate estimates. A short review of CIP technology requests at each meeting on a quarterly basis was suggested. Informational only. Also, we discussed Office 365. Office 365 will soon be led by a contracted project manager with the loss of a current project personnel that was leading it to this point. We'll be going to a contracted from a state pool, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Teresa Fradsum, if I said that correctly, will be will start Thursday, July 27th as the Wright County's Office 365 project manager. She has been contracted through the On-Demand Service Group, a Minnesota state program that has contracted reduced rates for high quality personnel. Teresa has transitioned over 8,000 users to Office 365 and is ready to help Wright County make this transition. Her contract stipulates up to 500 hours and no longer than 1 year. IT infrastructure has logged into the cloud presence of Office 365 for the county. They're continuing to ready behind the scenes. Lynda.com, a training service, also went live in July. Teresa will be directed to utilize the site for Office 365, creating training playlists to assign to county staff. Informational only. Also, we discussed the project portfolios. Currently, there are 87 open new and pending projects that are part of the IT project portfolio.
Which is down from 103, I think it was.
Yeah, it was something like that. IT has simultaneously closed and opened projects. Projects are rated from levels 1 to 3, which with a designation of, I didn't understand that part, the P for program level. Is that when it basically if it's the...
If it's a program or if it's a task.
Okay, that's right. Yep, okay.
So, yeah, program and a lot more involved.
Yeah.
Task is just a very simple.
So there's the 1, 2, 3 level, and then they also can get a P on it based on whatever
Yep.
number of hours. Basically, the stipulations of that 40 to 100 for level 1, and kind of in the dollar amount of under $10,000, the 130 to 320 hours, and 10 to 50,000 for level 2, and 320 plus hours, and a $50,000 rough project cost for level 3. The amount of projects will be discussed in a relationship to employees available to complete them. Commissioners stated that they are working within the county's means to bolster the IT team. It was noted that the unemployment rate is low as well, creating another piece of the puzzle in hiring process. We're still trying to fill some of those positions in our IT department, which we recognize is challenging at this point. The use of project portfolio has improved the way the IT department engages projects, but the project portfolio analyst will be the key role in making these making a big impact on these projects. Hopefully, if we get this person in this position, we should hopefully be able to start putting firmer timelines on when you submit your project in as to when it can be completed.
So provided we have the rest of the team in place.
Provided we have the rest of the team in place, but it's all...
So anybody out there watching this as a project manager, business analyst for technology, look at the county website, we're hiring.
Yes.
You can come to work for the Wright County.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You live in the right county, you work at the right county.
Yep, yeah. Yep, all things right.
All things right.
County. The only thing I have regarding, they only say that they're working within the county's means. I think there should be apostrophe. Man, I'm starting to take after you.
Where was that?
Grammar police
Where was
have
that, Mark?
expanded.
The second line in the last paragraph.
I'll adopt the IT minutes with the recommendations, which they're all informational only, but
Should that be apostrophe counties?
Right, because you're talking about one county, not multiple counties, so great.
it's the
It is
ownership of the
apostrophe.
county's
It is apostrophe, yes.
policies.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, have you budgeted in the CIP for body cams for the grammar police too?
I have a motion by Commissioner Batch. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any further discussions? Regarding my catching that, if my wife is watching, I can spell good as long as talking good too now, so I'm getting better. Hearing nothing else, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Alrighty. Reschedule 8/14/17 Owners Committee of the Whole meeting to 8:15.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to reschedule the August 14th Owners Committee of the Whole meeting from the 14th to the 15th at 10:30 a.m.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Reschedule 8/23/17 committee meetings.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we discussed this at a prior meeting, knowing that the board meeting is canceled on the 22nd that week, and a few folks will be out of the office. There was discussion about also canceling or moving that committee date. There was talk about moving it to the 30th, or potentially, we talked among staff, you could move it up a week, or you could just cancel it and wait for the next committee date in September. So a couple different options. You'll see later in the meeting, we have the budget schedule on there as well. I did plan the budget schedule around if we were to move it to the 30th. Also, I do believe Commissioner Burrell did have a conflict that morning as well, so.
Of the 30th, he has a
Correct.
conflict.
That's what he'd indicated, so.
My only concern is the technology. If we don't meet in August,
You'd have to have one in the beginning of the, you'd have to have two IT probably then in September committees.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if Coordinator Kelly has how many different departments are going to be on the committee day, but the Monday, the 28th, I'm not available in the morning, but if everybody else is, you're going to be here for the Health and Human Service Board in the afternoon, that would still get it in August. Wednesday, 30th being a budget kickoff day.
Mr. Chair, Coordinator Kelly, we start on the 31st, correct? For the budget?
Plan to start on the 30th in the afternoon for budgets. Relative to the items on committee day right now, we only had the technology committee and a personnel committee performance review.
Right.
Were the only two items as of today that we had for that last committee date. So not a real heavy schedule. We could look at moving it to the 28th in the morning as Potter suggested.
well, we'll be here
We'll be here,
on the 30th.
right, so would it work to
Anyway.
have it?
where do you?
I just do it on the 30th.
I mean, we've got,
Fair enough.
we also have next week, so if we find that there is nothing pressing, I want to have a chance to talk with IT. Nothing says we can't cancel it. If we find, since we have one more meeting, before some people are leaving the great state of Minnesota to go watch the sun get covered up by the moon for 3 minutes. Long driving for 3 minutes. So why don't we tentatively schedule then for the 30th, and we'll see how it comes up as next week. And make that final decision, if you put it back on.
For next week?
Yeah, let's just tentatively schedule it for the 30th, but we'll get a better handle on it
And
then
let's
next
keep it at
week.
their current time, so technology would still meet at 11 o'clock, then I'm guessing we wouldn't change
That'd
it.
be the plan.
Right, yeah, prior to commit.
Yeah, we'll see what else is on, we can possibly move it up a little bit too,
Okay.
since we'll be meeting at 1. Authorized signatures on agreement with Door.
Mr. Chair, do we need to vote on that?
We're just holding off till next week.
Relative to the committee day, yes,
Yeah.
I'll put it on again for next
So
week.
we're just
Hopefully it'll be laid over.
tentatively penciling it in for the 30th, but.
All right,
And I'll have discussion. We did talk about this at our leadership team, that there was potential of it moving to the 30th, so departments should be aware, but I'll have further discussions with them.
So that gives us another week, then we can make the decision. And like I said, I want to talk to IT to see what we really have for discussions, and maybe,
We might be able to cancel altogether if there's not
yeah,
much.
but I don't know, I guess the Office 365, but I guess that isn't that much of an issue. They're just starting out anyway, so. And she'll be around for a whole year possibly, depending on how much trouble we cause her with going to Office 365. Okay, so then we have the Wright County Transit, or Transportation Tax, Sales and Use Tax.
Mr. Chair, I can speak to that item. This is the next step in the process of rolling out the local option sales tax that we voted on earlier in the year, planning to implement that on October 1st of 2017. Communications have gone out from the Department of Revenue notifying local businesses and on their website notifying the public that this will be coming as of 10/1. They will need to start to collect it. The agreement you have in front of you is the logistics of collecting that tax, where the state will do that and then get those proceeds back to us talks about kind of the methodology and the framework for how they collect it, and then we'll cover their costs out of what is collected. So if there are no, I can answer questions to the best of my ability. Otherwise, the contract is before you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I just so you note that the final transmission there, that they realize that they will retain 20% of the final month on it, in case there's of any refunds. So budgeting forward, if we don't extend it, we need to make sure we revisit it if it would need to be extended far enough in advance that they wouldn't be holding on to 20% of those funds in that final quarter. And just to make sure Virgil's, aware of it, that when going forward, if it is going to sunset at the end, that we will be 20% shorter on that last revenue piece.
And, Mr. Chair, I understand some businesses have gotten a letter and others haven't, so I don't know what their schedule is for sending out, but people should be getting a letter. And I had a question from someone that found it confusing because there's 2 designations and it both says 5.05, and so it looks like it's 1, so it's not. It's just a 0.5% total. It's not 2.5% to make 1.
That's correct.
There was a lot of rumor going around that it was a 1% sales tax hike, and it is only a 0.5%.
Right. I don't know why they have them listed twice, but
I think it's because of the state, and they show transit and transportation as separate items. The money in Wright County is going for transportation, not for transit.
Right.
So, but yeah, it is only a 0.5%, and it covers both.
Right.
And that's just by the way the state has it set up.
Mr. Chair, yes, we had one individual actually stop up in our office with one of those letters.
Okay.
I was informed by Department of Revenue, those went out the week of July 28th through 30th. Those went out, so people are starting to get notification, those that I believe were registered with Department of Revenue. But there's still a few calls coming in. We will be putting out some additional information on our website, which is linking to the Department of Revenue site specific to Wright County sales and transit tax.
Okay.
I guess the point I would like to relay on, I would encourage anyone with questions to contact Department of Revenue directly. Their toll-free number, 1-800-657-3777. Just go right to the horse's mouth. I certainly don't want to give you incorrect information, so I would encourage you to use that resource and look for the things both on our site in the future.
The only question I've received from somebody was that they want Department of Revenue to provide them with a sales tax sheet, based off of sales from this to this. It's the total amount. Schedule or whatever I can't remember what they're called. I told them to use a computer, and she told me where to go. No, it just not everybody uses a computer that it does it automatically for. So they wanted the old tax sheets.
Okay.
Right.
So when they're typing or when they're keying it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people are some of the smaller businesses are still. Provide written receipts and do the bookkeeping that way.
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
My understanding is that if you are not computerized, that those sheets get sent out to those businesses that request it.
Yeah, she has requested it, but she was having some issues with them where they no longer kind of do that or something. So.
Mr. Chair, I know they have those tax schedules online.
Yes, they do.
And you can go to the library and they get one for you too. It's a great resource to use, that library thing.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize signatures on the agreement for the Minnesota Department of Revenue for the collection of sales and use tax.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Is there any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Budget schedule. That time of year again.
It is that time of year again, and I know you were eagerly anticipating us getting going. So I handed out at the beginning of the meeting here a draft of the budget schedule, which has, of course, been also sent out to department heads. I checked their availability, and those that responded I've scheduled around, so I think we are good to go at this point, but there may be a few corrections that come to next week's meeting for approval. Wanted to get this kind of laid out.
Regarding Coordinator Kelly's, he had some commissioners not respond to the doodle poll. Doodle?
Correct. I was used this year.
Doodle poll, along with some of the department heads, which I find concerning, that both the commissioners and department heads are not replying back to be able to do a schedule. I've asked to find those out who have not replied back. I mean, it was out there for plenty of time. There was no excuses. So that when those department head evaluations come up, that a discussion could be had about how important it is for the flow of the county business to respond to those sort of things.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Potter.
I am one commissioner that did not respond to a doodle poll because I did tell Coordinator Kelly, just make the schedule and I'll make it work my schedule because that's part of this job.
That's fine.
So
But
that's
that
my
did,
excuse.
but that,
So you did respond then?
yeah, you did. Some people just didn't, for whatever the reason. So again, I find it disheartening that, especially department heads not providing the information so that we can do our job.
Especially when it only took, I think, 2 minutes.
It didn't take long.
I think I completed it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
Anyway, how's the budget schedule look for everybody?
I'm good.
Yeah,
It happened.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So Charlie, if you're watching us, we have the budget schedule, and if you can't make it, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out without you. And hopefully you do get better. Advisory committees, advisory board updates. Since Commissioner Potter always steals the thunder, I'm going to start with Commissioner Vetch.
And believe it or not, I had a very, very slow week last week. Being the end of the month, for whatever reason, none of my committees meet at the end of the month, so I have nothing.
You know, the only ones that I have got canceled.
That's the same with mine, so.
I'm still waiting for the thunder.
Yeah. Oh, they did have Starry Trek. Were you going to talk about that?
Oh, no.
Mr. Houston?
I had a family reunion that day, so I wasn't there.
I wasn't able to make it either.
Was it your family?
Yeah.
But
At my home.
that was kind of a statewide type of thing. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to find out.
I will be
how it was.
interested to find out how that went also.
Yeah, so, I wasn't able to make it either. Oh, Commissioner Newsom.
Nothing for advisory committee.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2 items last week for me. First one was Make It MSP, was authorized to go, we're investors in that. It was the deeper dive get together there. Basically, it broke into 4 categories. The newcomers coming into the metro, what they're looking for, what jobs are out there. More ranked on professional type jobs, but it still filters into the manufacturing and distribution a little bit. And then it had also professionals of color, the tech, and then make it greater MSP in general, what we need to do to make better. They got a kickoff, Twin Cities startup kickoff meeting October 9th through the 15th down in the Minneapolis area to try to address some of the issues coming up. The interesting part of it, the one that was most riveting, was Dan with the technology end of it, someone expounding on the benefits of being here and what we have to offer. Like, we know we have good insurance here, there's a pension, things like that that can help us compete with other people. And I had Dan talk with me after the meeting, and I thought it interesting enough that I forwarded his email address and everything to Coordinator Kelly to potentially have him come out and talk with our IT department to let us know what we're facing on the other end, because we've been putting the building blocks together about fixing the IT department, and I believe that this one, is not going to hurt us to know what we're facing out there, and help us make better decisions on how we do the hiring process and what we're looking at, what's coming at us. So it was interesting. I definitely trying to get, so we can, Wright County, we can say we are getting benefit out of the greater MSP. This is one way to actually show that we're getting something in return for that. So if IT is interested in doing this, Coordinator Kelly has the information, and it doesn't hurt to listen to what the very interesting gentleman on that subject. The other issue last week was the...
Hold it 1 second. Coordinator Kelly, you'll have a discussion with IT then regarding that?
Yep.
Let them know that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I just thought it interesting, and if I hadn't seen this in the front end, I'd either brought Mr. Tagaro or Mark or somebody down with me, because it was keeping my attention the whole time he was talking. I mean, I'm not a big techie head, but it's just like we can use a lot of that information that he's got there. Anyway, it was good for us. The second item up is the Center for Transportation Studies, which was through the University of Minnesota and MnDOT. I attended that Tuesday. When everybody else was here, I was out there at the highway building after the board meeting. And it was try to understand it's part in coordination with the Towards Zero Deaths on the County Roadway Safety Plan. It's a workshop. We were the first one of 14 that are going to be in the state. It's kind of nice being the first one, because we're going to have the information out of the gate, and we're going to be a little bit ahead of the curve. Hopefully it transforms into more HSIP money. They have the coordinator, for lack of a better word for his thing, to dole out this HSIP money is Derek Lure, who's a St. Michael native. He used to work with SRF, and now he's with MnDOT there, and he's my new best friend. I was sitting next to him. So it's interesting to know, and we bounced around the county of different issues and the street lighting improvements and some of the signage and that we've kind of a little bit ahead of the curve on that, which is good. The main focus in the afternoon was on County Road 39, because that seems to be our biggest pressing issue right now. And we've done some safety improvements. Nashwauk is the one going on right now, and some of those other ones up on 39, and how we need to address these going in the future. The stunning realization for a lot of people is the amount of traffic increase in the last 10 years on 39. I mean, it's gone up exponentially, even more than a person could predict. So trying to get more of a proactive approach on some of these safety issues. I mean, we're Gillard in Monticello, that's been up for discussion quite a few times about how to fix that, because that's the main road going out on 39 for that subdivision.
Did they discuss County Road 19 and 39?
We discussed that and how to improve that, because they do have turn lanes and that, but they need to move the stop bar. The nice thing is, like Google Earth, we did the map, it was looking at everything else and where we can do improvements, and we did Floodwood and a couple other towns that had similar situations and how they fixed it, and it seemed to work. And those are things we can incorporate within ours.
Yeah, there's some line of sight issues there.
Yeah, the sight lines are
taking a left out of 19 onto 39. It's a little bit hard, because they're coming up that hill. Yeah.
So I know they have
hit the speeds.
They have discussed it. And well, there's a study going on right now too regarding County Road 39. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a overall study. Commissioner Potter had mentioned that Nashwauk, they're getting turn lanes, putting in their dedicated turn lanes now. And there was 2 that were done last year, the year before, Odine
Dean was done a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I think there was another one, when we took the tour, that one was getting ready. That was a little bit east of Nashwauk, east of Odine yet.
Well,
I
that
don't
were done
recall
at the same time. Anyway, that has reduced a number of collisions at those intersections, and there were a lot of them.
It is a busy street.
Yep.
No, and like I say, and it was a very interesting, it was good to get perspective, because it was not only the county, the MnDOT and U of M, I mean, trying to figure out how we can make our county roads safer, because that's most of the crashes are happening on county roads in the state, and it's how do we make them better? I mean, and we've been taking the steps to visibility in different areas that have helped. The Chevron signs and the lighted ones, the next generation there, have worked well. One of the issues is the blinking lights with the oncoming traffic seems to be still an issue, because at County Road 37 to 55, the light just blinks all the time, and pretty soon you just ignore it. It doesn't, like, it never goes off. So those are some of the things they got to try to address on how to make this better. Because if it blinks all the time, people just ignore it. You know, and that's the thing, you're trying to people that false sense of security. If the light's not on, they just go. Rolling through stop signs is a major issue. Stop lights, and that's all over the state. I mean, usually it goes yellow if you're not already in the intersection. You're supposed to stop, because the yellow is enough time for you to clear the intersection. But people within 200 feet of they see the light, the yellow light, and they're gunning it to go through the light.
Yellow doesn't mean go faster?
Yeah. So that's one of the objectives of the Sheriff's Department, police departments throughout the state, is to try to crack down on that a little bit, because that's what's causing a lot of our crashes. It was definitely worthwhile going. It was a lot of information, and I look forward to us being able to capitalize on some of the things we've learned, and to get more what's called HSIP, Highway Improvement Safety Program money, to help improve the other areas there. And that was, like I say, that was very interesting. And I have this book here. Lee had it. I'll have it out in the bullpen there for people to look at it if they want to. And it was definitely I was pleased to go in and get that information. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Coordinator Kelly, do you have anything to add?
I don't believe that I do. I guess maybe one thing, our new HR director will start next Monday, so I'll probably have him in for introductions.
Good.
I guess I can say our space study is progressing forward, and courts design, of course, he'll have a report out on the courts design next Tuesday, so.
Yeah.
The space study, when was that presentation supposed to be? Or was there a presentation partway through it? Or are we going to get a full one at the very end? And
if you want to do something more interim, we could. At this point, they've just started putting shapes over potential space areas. Nothing real concrete at this point. So about the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would anticipate that'd be a good time if you want to do a presentation.
so who is Commissioner Potter, Commissioner Burrell on with the space study, or is
We
that
haven't
just
done a meeting with them as of yet, so.
they have not?
Have not.
I don't know, probably best for you guys to have a meeting with them, and then make the decision about committee of the whole or something.
I know that they were gathering data, and I thought that the idea is once they got some data, that they were going to have a meeting with us just to chart a direction, see at what point do we bring it before the board.
Correct, and at this point, they've gotten all the square footage and projected positions out 20 years, and they've just started to put it kind of, get some different ideas, but they haven't done analysis of other options other than looking at this building. So I think it's maybe a little premature to have a meeting, but I think in a couple weeks might be good.
Well, I haven't put DMV back where the old jail was.
Yeah,
A lot more room.
And Mr. Chair, the whole idea behind this is going back for the public, so if they don't recall, when the courts move out, and the idea was to move the Health and Human Service, the part that's out the Pomida building or the center out there back in here, we were at 100% capacity day one, and how do we address this? you know, how much money is it going to take and how much time are you going to get by doing these things, so we're not chasing our tail and spending $20 million for 7.5 years. Like that. So hopefully it gives us, we got time. We're ahead of the curve on this one. We got time to decide it. So if it takes a couple months longer to get the information, we're fine. We just need to have the ideas of which direction we need to go when it gets to that point.
Right.
We're doing long-term planning.
Long-term planning.
Yeah.
Short-term knee-jerk reactions.
Yep.
And yeah, we want to make sure that we get the best value for the taxpayer dollar.
Absolutely.
Don't want to waste money.
Nope.
No kicking cans down the road with this board, right?
Pick them cans up, don't pollute. Mr. Chair, one other item that was in the Star Tribune this morning about starry stonewort in Dakota County and some other places. They didn't mention Wright County, but it was
Really?
how they're looking at it and had a picture of what it looks like. And then, so they're doing more follow-up. So I'd anticipate at some point in time that reporter's going to come talk to somebody at Wright County on that, because I think this is going to be a continuing series on this, because this is starting to capture the minds of people out there, what's going on, because Coronas has definitely been on the frontal lobe for people on the fishing. What happened there, we don't want to happen elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's finally getting the attention it deserves. Just because that star stonewort is, change it to scary stonewort.
Yeah, I think it should be called scary. Scary starry.
Because, man, it can destroy a lake.
Yep.
Well, I shouldn't say destroy it, just
Well,
makes the lake non-functional
wasteland.
for anything else.
Turns it into a wasteland.
All right, anything else coming forward? We are adjourned at 9:46.